Welcome to part 2. One of the biggest risk factors for a teen who is struggling with fitting in and could potentially be heading down the path of juvenile delinquency is substance abuse. So I want to spend some time on this topic as it is a bridge that connects us all. First, what is drug addiction? As defined by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, drug addiction is defined as chronic, relapsing brain disease that is characterized by drug-seeking activities and drug use, and not caring about its harmful effects. It goes on to explain that it is considered a brain disease because drugs change the brain. They change the structure and how it works. The scariest aspect of substance abuse in teens is that these brain changes can be long-lasting and can lead to harmful behaviors. First, it is important to understand why a teen who is struggling with certain things in their life would take drugs knowing that it is wrong. One reason is that simply it makes them feel better. It decreases the feelings of depression or distress that they might be feeling as they are going through their teen years and trying to discover who they are. Perhaps the biggest reason is because other people are doing it and they want to fit in. This is the key component when speaking about role confusion. We already covered that a teen who is dealing with this will feel as though they don't fit in. So logically, it makes sense that they will do certain things to fit in with their peers. Everybody only wants to be accepted. Teens are more likely to engage in risky behavior or daring behavior to impress their peers and express independence that they are craving. Once a teen becomes addicted to drugs of any kind, including marijuana, pills like oxycodone or Percocet, hard street drugs like heroin or cocaine, and even alcohol consumption, their life becomes about that drug and that high. They are willing to do just about anything to fulfill the need for the drug, and this can lead to certain delinquent behaviors. Also, while a teen is on their high or drunk from excessive alcohol consumption, their behaviors become erratic and dangerous, also leading to delinquent behaviors. So what is juvenile delinquency? This is a term that many people are familiar with, but may not know or understand the true definition. Juvenile delinquency is defined as offenses that, if they were committed by an adult, would be carrying certain penalties such as probation or jail time. In order to get a true depiction of exactly the issues that we are dealing with when we speak about juvenile delinquency, it is important to speak about the statistics, or the truth of what is happening. This is not an issue that can be ignored or pushed under the rug. Juvenile delinquency is something that needs to be taken serious because it is a serious matter. In 2010, 2.5 million arrests in the United States were for individuals who are under the age of 18, with an increase in females being arrested for reasons that are still being debated. This breaks down to, on average, juveniles were involved in 1/4 of all serious, violent acts committed annually. And this is how the numbers break down. 16% of all violent crimes were committed by juveniles. 32% of all property crimes were committed by those under the age of 18. It also includes 54% of all arson arrests, 42% of vandalism arrests, and 33% for burglary. Now, I understand that these are a lot of numbers that may be hard to understand or really get a true picture of what we're talking about. So let's break it down. 75,800 juveniles were arrested for violent crimes. Let's break down the violent crimes. 1,000 of those were murder. 2,700 accounted for forcible rape, with approximately 44,800 falling into the aggravated assault category, including weapons. On an average day in 2010, approximately 106,000 juvenile offenders were living in detention centers. 40% of those offenders were African American. 34% were white, and 18.5% were Hispanic. Overall, it is estimated that 64% were males. So you can see this is an issue that spans both gender and ethnicity. Although these statistics are eye-opening, it is important to note that rates of juvenile delinquency overall have remained steady. It is believed that rates peaked back in 1993, and in 1997 declined to the lowest rate. The rate since then has been steady, with flows going in both directions. They've increased and decreased. However, this is not a time to be complacent, given that a recent report estimates that on average 20% of high school students carry a weapon to school. Violence in schools overall has risen. So this is still an issue, and one that needs to be taken seriously. So what does this all mean? Why does this topic deserve time and attention? And what can we do as social workers to help the youth that struggle with successful identity and find themselves in role confusion and risky behaviors? This is the turning point. There is so much more that can be done to help these teens. There are a couple of steps to overcome first. Discovering the true nature, cause, and consequences of the behavior is important. It needs to be understood why the behavior started in order to overcome and resolve those issues. This can be tough as a teen to do, and it is the job of the social worker to facilitate these conversations in a safe space. Also, being able to help to motivate the teen to avoid this behavior and work on substance abuse programs will be vital. Also, we have covered the risk factors, but now let's talk about the protective factors. Protective factors are things that will, quote unquote, protect the youth even in adverse circumstances. And it is the job of the social worker to help the teen identify what those factors are. If the adolescent themselves has trouble noting any protective factors, it is the job of the social worker to open their thinking to what possible factors could be. First, finding support is important, and that support just doesn't have to come from the family unit. It can come from school, community centers, or community churches. A teacher, a mentor, or a coach can act as that support and guide the teen as they try to navigate to the successful identity we're all reaching for. Also, setting achievable goals in school, sports, and in hobbies is a good way for that person to feel a sense of achievement. Lastly, working with the teen on positive coping strategies on how to deal with stress and adversity can make all the difference. Simple things like how to notice when a person starts to feel anxiety or feeling that they may want to use that substance again, and learning how to cope with those thoughts and feelings and being able to overcome them is important. Following this outline and other steps can help ensure that any teen who is feeling confused about who they are can find a way down the right path. So what does successful identity look like? The term that Erikson used for an adolescent who achieved successful identity was called fidelity. This is the ability to commit to oneself and accepting others for who they are and their differences. This is a sense of feeling secure, independent, and in control of oneself. Someone who is secure within themselves stands up for themselves, perhaps goes against the grain, or goes against what is popular because they feel it is the right thing to do. They stand up for who they are and what they believe. This is not a process that happens overnight or in one day. This is a process that happens over time as the adolescent continues throughout their development. As we noted with identity, things are constantly being added or taken away. Perhaps you may watch a movie, hear a song, or a teacher's opinion, which makes you think about something in a different way, and that's okay. That comes along with being secure in who you are, and knowing that opinions can change a person as they learn and grow, and that's okay. As our video from earlier points out, a person will try on many different hats to find their true self. Successful identity, what we are all striving for, a place to fit into, a place to make a difference for the better, to know who we are. Some may hear this and say even adults don't have secure identity, and they wouldn't be wrong in making that conclusion. Perhaps that individual never really found fidelity and has dealt with identity confusion for a portion of his or her life. This follows along with Erikson's theory of development in one that never truly stops learning, growing, and developing. Something I want to make clear that is role confusion does not mean that a teen is going to turn to substance abuse or juvenile delinquency, but being in that place of confusion is a risk factor. Some people so badly just want to fit in, and they want to feel like they belong to something. They want to feel they belong somewhere. When dealing with role confusion and that struggle to belong, it places a teen in a difficult position. I believe this is where they get the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. It is on society, communities, schools, family, and friends to make sure that everyone feels that they belong somewhere. Perhaps Erikson's theory of development is challenged these days, but his concrete thoughts, including those on identity, still hold true today. Having a secure sense of self starts in adolescence, and finding who we are and where we belong can be a lifelong journey. Thank you.